I'm Yvette, and I want to create this site so that it's a place for people who are possibly new cooks out there who want to learn new techniques, maybe get a few new recipes in their repertoire, or if you're a seasoned cook but you sometimes run out of ideas of what to cook for your family. Are you tired of the same 5 or 6 meals that you cook over and over and over again? Your life is so busy that it's taco night again. Oh, that totally happened to me. First of all, when I first started out, I had no clue how to cook. And when I finally started to cook, it was processed foods. You know, open up a can, open up a box, open up a jar. And I still do that somewhat, but I don't really consider myself a cook that uses processed foods much. What I like to do is be a source for you to come to possibly have brand new ideas for that week for you and your family, or simply I'm here so someone can watch how to do something, a certain kind of technique. As simple as, how do you dice up an onion? What's the easiest way? What's the fastest way to do that? So let this be a site where maybe 2 to 3 times a week you can tune in and get a good idea for your family. So hope to see you here. I'm certainly no chef. I don't consider myself some chef, but I'm just a mom who got real busy, and I got real tired of what I was cooking. And over the years, I put together this 3-ring binder that the recipes come from. Maybe it's your neighbor, maybe it's your grandma's old recipe, or it's a celebrity chef that was on TV. It comes from all over the place, and they're tried and true. I know that they're quick. I know that they're pretty inexpensive to make, and my family loves them, and I hope that you and your family will as well. All right, check back in. Right now I'm going to give you the recipe on how to make the carnita dinner. It's very, very simple. I'm going to first show you all of the ingredients that goes into it, so you can go ahead and make a list. I just got back from the market, and this is a 2.99 pound, no, I'm sorry, this is a 3.5 pound pork shoulder roast. This recipe calls for between a 3 and 4 pound roast, so you can pick this up. I know when I was new to the grocery stores, I didn't even know how to look for a pork roast, but it's going to be in your meat section, and just look at the little label there, pork shoulder roast, and then it'll tell you how many pounds is in this package, and this one is 3.5 pounds, so it's pretty perfect for the recipe we're going to make. The other thing you're going to need is 3 cloves of garlic, and this is one of the shortcuts that I do take, and I know the real cooks out there are like, oh my gosh, you have to chop up your garlic, but I prefer not to because it's much quicker to do it this way. I used chopped garlic that already comes in a jar. I do buy a smaller jar because I don't want it to go bad. There aren't any preservatives in here, which I like. That's one of the selling points for me. So anyway, the rule of thumb is 1 teaspoon is equal to 1 clove of garlic. This recipe calls for 3 cloves of garlic, so I'm going to use 3 teaspoons of this. And then it also calls for some olive oil. Now I just get whatever olive oil is on sale, so it can be expensive. This particular one I got at my little farmer's market, and it's a good California olive oil. This recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of olive oil, and that's just to coat your meat, so we'll get to that in a minute. And salt and pepper, everybody has that, and 1 bunch of green onions. This is a green onion for people who have never seen one of those before. And fresh cilantro. Cilantro can be fooled by looking like parsley when you're checking it out, so pick it up, look at the little label that's underneath it, but also just smell it. It smells so good. I love cilantro. This is what really gives this dish its flavor. So get a little bunch of that, and this is what it looks like. And then you're going to need a cup of salsa, and you can pick any salsa that you like. Some people like to make their own salsa. I have discovered this new salsa. Well, I'm not sure how new it is, but it's new to me. It's at Target. It's Archer Farms, their own brand, and this one is roasted tomato and chipotle, and this is the best salsa I have found in a jar. It is so good. It's got a great roasted pepper flavor, and it's very mild, and I get the medium one, and it doesn't have any artificial ingredients in it, so it's all natural as well, and I like that. So instead of making it, it's another shortcut for me. Just buy it. So we're going to need 1 cup of this, okay? And then chicken broth or vegetable broth. I find these are very good to keep on hand. I buy this 6 to a case, I think, at the Sam's Club. So just keep that. It's one of those things you're going to use for a lot of recipes. And this particular one calls for a 1/2 cup of chicken broth. And then you're going to probably need a little additional broth at the end. So if you have some on hand, that would be great. And then you need cans of green chili peppers that are already diced. Easy to get in the can. I just get whatever's on sale. I happen to have Ortega and Kroger brand, so just whatever's on sale for that. And then the last thing you're going to need is your tortillas, and that'll be at the end, but make sure you have 12 tortillas at least on hand. That's another thing I buy at the Sam's Club, and they come 2 to a pack, and I freeze one. And that's another one that I always keep on hand because there are those really quick dinners. Sometimes you just pick up a rotisserie chicken at the grocery store. You want to debone that, and you can make all kinds of things with that. But tortillas are really good to have on hand. So let's get started. First thing this recipe calls to do is to cut our pork roast in half, and then we're going to put it inside of our crock pot. Not sure if you can see that. I'll turn it a little bit. I do have a good crock pot. The base comes out of it, so this is a recipe you could make the night before if you're very, very busy. It's so simple to throw this recipe together. You could put it in here, put the lid on it, and put it in your refrigerator overnight. That's wonderful because it's marinating. And then in the morning, just pop it in, turn it on while you're off to work or whatever you have to do that day. I've done that many times with this recipe. So let's get back over here. I'm going to I have 3 cutting boards here. It's something that you might want to invest in. One is for chicken. It's got a little chicken symbol right there. One is for your meats and one is for your vegetables. I do have one for fish. It's white, but I have no idea where it is. So we'll just keep going with this. Tie my hair back because who wants hair in their food? Nobody. So let me go ahead and do that. My oldest son has a fit if there's hair in his food, and I don't want to be the cause of that. So, okay, let's go ahead. I'll wash my hands real quick, and we'll get started. And we usually eat dinner about 6:30 at night. We usually eat dinner, and it's already 12:30, and this recipe needs to cook in your slow cooker 6 to 8 hours, so probably ought to get a move on. Had a little bit of a late start today. So, all right, so let's go ahead. Let me show you what I'm doing over here. Hopefully you can see that. I will be just so simple. Cut all the fat off of this meat as much as you can. Who wants all that fat? So I just take a sharp knife, invest in some good knives. I'm telling you, sharper knives are much safer than dull knives. And then I also keep a sharpener on hand so I can sharpen it. Just cut some of it. It's okay to have some of the fat, but this is a boneless pork roast, and it's, like we said, it's about 3.5 pounds. So that's about all the excess fat I can see right off the bat. So we'll get all that off. And then it said cut it in half. I'm going to go ahead and, looks like there is a little bit of bone left in mine, so I'll just take that out, no problem. This is a thick piece of meat, goodness. Okay. Cut that in half, and the reason you do that is so that it cooks faster. Forgot my lid on. Okay, we're back over here, and I am just putting the pork into the slow roaster, the slow cooker, whatever you call it, and put that meat at the bottom. I wash my hands off the handle and reach. Yucko. And also, just a little FYI, along the way I have become healthier at my cooking, And one of the ways that I try to do that is I try to buy meat that is nitrate free, that's not pumped up with all those hormones. You know, I know budgets are tight right now and not everybody can afford organic everything, but wherever you can, try to buy natural, organic. If it's your meat, at least look for no nitrates. I know that's a really bad preservative that's put in there. And luckily, a lot of products are now being offered without the nitrates, so good thing. So, okay, so what we do first over here is we're going to put salt and pepper on top of this meat. So that's, we're going to go ahead and just salt it. The recipe calls for 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/2 of a teaspoon of pepper. I really have just been where I just kind of eyeball that, but if you want to measure that out, it's 1/2 of a teaspoon salt and pepper. And then I'll flip this over and I'll get the other side. When you put the salt on the meat, the salt will open up the meat fibers for you, so it starts to soak in all the other flavors that you're going to put on it. So that's in general with all meats. Alrighty. And the next thing that needs to go in here is our olive oil. It's 2 teaspoons of olive oil. So once again, that's something I'm going to kind of eyeball because this is not exact. This is just something that to start flavoring the meat. So there's one, and I'll just go ahead and keep it on this one side. Okay, so 2 teaspoons of your olive oil. After that, what we're going to do is we need to add the onions, the cilantro, so the green onions, the cilantro, the salsa, and the chicken broth, and the chilies. That's it. And then we're going to cover it, put it on low for 6 hours. Very, very simple. So I'm going to go ahead and chop all this up and get it ready to put in there, and then I'll come right back to you. Okay? See you soon. Okay, hello. We're back. I've got everything chopped up now. I've got our green onions and our cilantro. You just pour that right on top of our dish. Maybe you can see a little better. You turn it, put it right on top of the meat. Simple, simple, simple. And then we're going to open up our cans of chili, our chili peppers here. And those are already diced up for us. They give it a really wonderful flavor. This carnita, this pork we're turning into carnitas. Very, very good flavor. So just open those up. So simple. This is one of those times where open and dump, open and dump. Very little chopping for this one. So, and I know when I was first starting out and a recipe called for chopping this vegetable, chopping that vegetable, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I just want to open a package and add water. But you really do get sick of eating that stuff. So take the time. Just know that for really good foods, you're going to have to chop a little bit. There's a little bit of chopping that's going to be involved. And once you just kind of, what I call, become one with that, then it's okay. It's no big deal. It really takes no time at all. So if you're a beginner cook and you just don't like to do that, just know that it's worth that, not even 5 minutes of chopping. So get it done. Okay, so we have our green chilies in there, we have our onions, we have our cilantro. I need to add our garlic, which we said was 3 teaspoons of the garlic. So here's my teaspoon. I'm not exact with this stuff. 1, 2, and 3. And, you know, my husband loves garlic, so I always add a little extra for that. No big deal, you can do that. Okay, next thing that needs to go in is about, I'd say about 3/4 of a cup. I know earlier I said it's a 1/2 cup of the broth, but let's go ahead and put 3/4 in, because later you have to add it anyway, so just, it's fine to do it now. I think it tenderizes the meat a lot better. So somewhere around 3/4 to a cup is just fine. Pour that right on top. And then the last thing we're going to do is our 1 cup, I don't remember, let me take a look at that real quick. That one was going to be 1 cup of the salsa. So this is a really, really good salsa. It's great to have on hand for a quick snack with the tortilla chips. I keep that on hand, the kids love it. So, alright, so we have all that in there. The very last thing we do is put the lid on. We're going to put it on Our cook time is going to be on high. Oh goodness. There we go. 6 hours. That's it. Put the lid on, 6 hours. Now I can go and do whatever I need to do, and then when we come back, we're going to have delicious carnitas. I did save a little bit of the cilantro. That's going to be a nice little garnish to put on top whenever we do make our carnita dinner. And I also bought some avocados, some tomato you can chop up, sour cream, whatever you like on top of your carnita dinner you can use. So, and then I also want to let you know where I get some of these recipes. This particular recipe I got from Taste of Home. It's a magazine that my girlfriend gave to me as a birthday present. It was a great monthly subscription that I get, and it just shows up in the mail. It's awesome. And I go through there and I'll pull out what I think my family's going to like, or what I think that is going to be pretty easy to make. And I tear them out, and just over the years I have all these recipes from all over the place that I keep, like I said earlier, in my 3-ring binder. And it's just a really great way when you're stuck on ideas to pull one of these out and get this done. So anyway, we're going to let that cook for about 6 hours, and then we'll come back, and right when the whole family's here, it's going to be ready. So hope that you enjoyed this recipe. I will show you at the end how I put it all together, but it's pretty simple, and it's whatever you like. So, oh, and one other thing I wanted to say, and I'll talk about this a little later, is the first time I made this dish, it was a lot more liquid in the pot than I wanted. I'm from Southern California, and I love my carnitas to be a little crispier. So I have modified this recipe and put the pork, I take the pork out after it was completely cooked, and I put it in a pan, and I pulled it all apart, and I put it in a pan, and I put it in the oven, probably about 15 minutes on 350, maybe 20 minutes, and it really crisped it up really nicely, and it wasn't as liquidy as it turned out to be. Now the liquid is a real good way to eat it too, but it's just the way I like my carnitas. I like them a little crispier, a little drier than that. Not dry, but a little drier than the way it came out. So that's how I modified this recipe. So, and you'll find that. You'll get recipes you're going to cook for your family, and then the next thing you know, you're modifying it because somebody doesn't like this, or you know, you like it better a different way. So anyway, we'll see you in 6 hours, or with the magic of filming, we'll see you soon. Okay, bye. Okay, it's been 6 hours, and this is what it looks like. All bubbly and delicious. So I told you that I would show you how I do the tortillas to heat them up. I prefer them in the pan than in the microwave. And the reason why is they get here where they get a little puffed up. Not sure if you can see that or not. And I just flip it over and brown the other side. It's really quick, maybe a minute each side. Once it gets real hot, it's really just maybe even 30 seconds. So I just do them like that. They're nice and crisp, and the butter gives it a little bit better flavor. I put just a pat of butter in the pan before I started this. So that's how you get the tortillas nice and yummy. There it is. There's the carnitas. You can hear it sizzling. I'm not sure if you can see how it got crispy and brown, and it smells delicious. Really, really good. So that, and I did it for $3.75 for 15 minutes. So that's all that was needed. Now I'll probably come over here and take a little bit of that sauce that it cooked in and pour it right on top of this until everybody's ready to come serve themselves. So that's it. And I'm not sure if I showed you, I like to do avocado, lime, and cilantro. And we also like to do some jalapeno peppers, a little bit more of that salsa that's so good, and some sour cream. You may like to do possibly some onions or cheese, whatever you like really can go on top of these. And you're just going to wrap them up inside. Here are the tortillas. They're very hot, so I just put this pan on top of it and it keeps them warm. You don't need a fancy tortilla warmer for that. So that's it, everybody. That's the end of how to make carnitas the way I make them, because my life is so busy. I like to throw them in a slow cooker. So hope you enjoy it, and bon appetit.